Right, welcome everybody. Hope everybody is well. It's now Sunday evening, so we've got a lot to go through, and there's obviously lots to speak about. But I thought I'd start off by showing you guys something pretty cool that I've been working on here. Just move this down there as well, and it is my macro trade intelligence software. So I have kept this quiet, but it was almost ready. So yeah, I've pretty much finished it this weekend. I've spent hours on it. So I've programmed, but basically my brain is in here. But I've tweaked a few things from what we do. So I've put in lots more pairs. It will be live data. It's just got it because I only connected that up this week weekend. Is obviously got to yeah, catch up when market opens, but we it analyzes things exactly the same as obviously what I do. So really good. And yeah, it's basically you don't really have to do anything. So you just click here and then it analyzes like I do, and then obviously everything pops up. So for example, if it was analyzing right now, it would come out with a trading card a bit like this. So it would be a bit like this: buy 84% confidence A, and it'll give you all of the reasons why. Breaker structure confirmed, 2 hour, blah 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 blah. And then yeah, it'll give you the entries, TPs, and what it does as well in the background, it automatically correlates um, everything. So I'll be able to, work out from what everybody has pressed. I will be able to realize what obviously how each trade has gotten on, and so that'll be interesting. But yeah, it's something that I'm going to test out this week, and then if I'm happy with it, or if it needs another week of testing, but it'll mean you could go on at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, 9 in the morning, any time. um all the APIs are about, yeah, some of the macro APIs are about 5 minutes behind. I can't get them any quicker, but yeah, it should be really interesting. So yeah, lot to go through. So right, anyway, oh, before we get started too, gold copy. This is when we connected it up here. This one here. This was all manual trading. Still, obviously finished about 4% up, but obviously, weren't happy with it. But obviously, this is where we connected up the software, which is connected to a hedge fund that I had a meeting with, old only. So I was really impressed with it actually last week. It took one very small trade, and that was it. Didn't trade non-farm payroll, prefers to buy as opposed to sell. So yeah, it is quite interesting. And I'm quite interested to see whether I actually think it's going to kick in quite well this week. So I'm expecting to be probably above 14% if I'm honest. Anyway, right, getting back to it properly. Greg, are you going to back test this week? What are the five confluences? I'm not going to give away what's in my brain, but obviously you can feel free to obviously pick at it. That's obviously the idea of these lives. Ask away questions. Yeah. So, right, obviously had probably one of the hardest weeks this year that I have traded. I took a very big punt on gold on Friday afternoon. I did post it. I closed out. That got me in a little bit of profit. If I hadn't of, I'd have been probably similar to Monday. But yeah, I just like the the look of it popping up slightly. And obviously that's what happened, and then I closed out. But yeah, it was really, really hard. I think Wednesday was good, but obviously Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday were horrible. Now, why are they horrible? So on Friday, non-farm payroll kicked in, stock markets dropped massively, right? If we look at this on a daily, look how much they dropped, all right? Look at all these days here ticking up, all right? That we spoke a few weeks back about the AI, sector propping up stock markets, all right? And this is proof of it. Maybe not so much US 30, but obviously, SPX 500, US 100, you can see how many days it took to tick up here. And then this candle here has just engulfed all of this price action here. So obviously, that's one thing that we need to be aware of. Y Yields, interestingly enough, pump, but didn't pump majorly. All right, they're still in this. I drew this traffic light, system up. Red is probably yields are a bit overextended. Orange is there, kind of where they probably should be. Um, so popped up, but not as aggressively as dollar, as stocks. Um, and then also oil. Oil didn't really push down too hard. We still obviously, we're trading above 90, just about, but obviously it's that 80 range. We all know that we need dollar really trading, sorry, oil really trading around this range here. That's where we kind of want it. Uh, but back where it's happy, even below 80 would be, nicer than where it is right now. It's horrible. So yeah, that's obviously one thing. Excuse me. I always yawn when I'm doing a live. It doesn't matter if it's the morning, evening, whatever. I always yawn. Now, if you'd see, obviously, this is the closest we've obviously dropped during this conflict, and we're obviously no way near that. So, some of the interesting things that we obviously want to speak about this week. It's been a politics have come back into it. Now, I've mentioned it a bit on the recording I did there this morning. And I've mentioned it previously, but it's very dangerous when a president can tweet, and it might be true, it might not be true. Now, I've made some notes here. So one thing that obviously is prominent at the moment, and seems random, is the maritime war risk insurance. Now, obviously, this is at an all-time high because of the Strait of Hormuz. But the interesting thing is from what I was looking at earlier, was strangely enough, this insurance pumped before the war started. Now, strange obviously for everyone to see, but obviously, so that is one thing that the big boys are obviously looking at, and something to obviously add in, because when this is insurance starts to drop, we're gonna have a real influence into things calming. Now, anyone who works in the transportation distribution industry, commodities industry has to have maritime insurance policy. So something that I've not looked at. I'm going to look into it a bit more detail a bit later on. But obviously, that is one thing I'll give you guys, a few references to obviously pinpoint where you can kind of monitor, this. The other thing that is interesting, which is driving everything, is the IAEA. So basically, they are nuclear inspections. I've written loads of notes here because I had a call with a friend there this morning, and he mentioned to me the IAEA. So basically, it's a new draft that's been, circulating by the US for an agreement. But what they want from Iran is they want to them to provide the US with details on their nuclear sites and enriched uranium. All right. Now, every time that the US have tried to do this, Iran have obviously come straight back, sent drones, escalated war. So obviously it's not happened as much of a hurry, but obviously, you know, um, what I don't like about trading at the moment is that, Trump is very, very, vocal. He knows exactly, what he's doing. And he is just trying to, manipulate markets as best that he can, and obviously it's pretty horrible. But yeah, so that's obviously, one thing that I'm going to be keeping an eye on this week. Now, what does that mean? All right, and how can we kind of keep an eye on it? So, if an agreement comes in place, right, oil easy to, read. Oil's going to come back down, I reckon sub, 70 pretty quickly. All right. We're then going to get, stock markets should recover. All right. Because, companies are obviously, being able to transport, oil will be cheaper. So obviously, naturally, car companies, should be better. Right. Dollar will take a small dip, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a dip as what it would have been. I can't see it trading below, 99. Yields should be trading back around this area here. All right. Now, the tricky one is what everyone trades. All right. Because we have got high escalation here, right? And gold has been trending to the downside. Right now, just because oil drops and dollar drops and yields drop, think about how gold, normally, moves. Why do people buy it? All right, they'll buy it in times of uncertainty. All right, that's why it's classed as a, safe haven. It's like trading 101. Everyone understands it. However, we are in, uncertainty right now, and obviously gold isn't pumping. All right. So yes, I think gold could recover to potentially this area, but remember, de-escalation should, on paper, drop gold. Now, I'm not saying that this will happen. I'm just showing the confusion in trading gold, right? Yeah. Now I've had a lot of people obviously, said they were doing really, really well. However, it's very, very tricky. Don't beat yourself up. Everyone is finding gold hard, right? It's not doing what it's done previously for years and years and years. Escalation normally happens. Gold should be at all time highs, right? But if we get a de-escalation, I'm really interested to, see. We could even see gold, pop back down to these areas here below the 4K mark. It's a really interesting time for gold right now. So coming into, Monday, and let's break a few pairs down. One thing that's interesting me today, it doesn't always happen, but obviously Bitcoin has taken a massive dump, all right? And now we've got all the bears hopping back in. Yeah, we're gonna come back to this area, this 40, and it's gonna be chilling. I don't know about that. I mean, the next kind of level of support will be something like this. All right, will be something like this. So. Do I see it breaking 15? No. Do I think it's an absolute great buy at 50? Yes, because I can see it at least minimum at 100. Well, obviously, then you've got 2x your, money. So any kind of long-term holders, I think, 50 would be a great time to buy. But we'll obviously have to wait and see. Anywhere below that's a bonus. I read an article earlier about how Michael Saylor's strategy. He's 18 billion down right now, but will he be that guy who's gonna, if Bitcoin ever gets, which, on paper it, should do, but if Bitcoin ever gets to this area, he's gonna be the cleverest guy on this planet. All right, cleverest guy on this planet, but he's taken a massive risk. I mean, to me, just looks like the biggest gambler. Who's just being got all this money behind him to take a punt. So yeah. But no, it's interesting that Bitcoin's about what is it, 0.5% up, but I'm not sure it's going to end it in there. So looking at the pairs that we normally trade here, and obviously we haven't done this for a while, so let's break down something like GBP USD here. All right, from top to bottom here. All right, so uh, monthly. Let's put a couple of levels in here. All right, so let's put these two potential levels in, potentially a bit closer. Let's put them here. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this. So potentially 100. How's that look? Not bad. And then let's do this on 200. There we go. 100 pips between them. All right, nice there. That's our kind of, monthly, um, levels here. We're obviously all happy with this. We got some consolidation here. You could put another one here if you want to. Let's do this in blue. That could be our weeklies. Let's do so all I'm doing is looking at how markets have moved previously, all right? And then you're just kind of taking an average of whereabouts they are. Let's just have a look at this here. I mean, that's not a bad area there, is it? So something like this here, all right? And then obviously let's then have a look on a daily. I mean, it's horrible. You can see it's just moving, sideways here. There's a lot of support here. If we were to draw a box here, all right, there's a lot of support here. So well, when you start marking charts up, all it's doing is it's just obviously helping you to identify what exactly is happening, and obviously where liquidity is. All right. So if we were to draw these boxes where liquidity is, potentially might be. All right. So if we do one potentially up in this area here. All right, something like that. And then you can't really argue here. There is liquidity here. All right, so that would be my kind of markings up here. All right, so what does this actually mean? Now let's go on a 4 hour here. All right, and what we can do is we can delete all these lines here. All right, because we know that liquidity is here. All right, because we've proven it. All right, so we can see here, and if we put it on a 2 hours, probably cleaner. All right, so if you're blending here from zone to zone, all right, if for example this zone starts to hold, then you'll be confident to obviously potentially buy into this zone here. All right, because you're naturally going to, because it's held previously. As soon as it breaks through, where does it go? It goes up into this zone here. So if you'd have waited, for example, this candle, and then your next target might potentially be up into this zone here. Yeah, nice 1 to 2, and then Bob's your uncle. There we go. So same thing here. What does it do? Breaks through this, zone here. I mean, this is really, simplifying trading. So if we were to put it in the, middle here, and then put this one in the middle of this one here, 1 to 2, there we go. Breaks through, all right, through this, zone here, carries on. Same thing. Can't break through, can't break through, can't break through, breaks below here, what are you to do? Sell. This is, I'm just purely showing the beauty of, zones here. All right, stops just above, zonage there. All right, same thing, it can't break through, can't break through, breaks above, you might even want to go for something like this here. Look at that there, so zone to zone, stops say just below here, 1 to 2. You can see here, yes, it wouldn't have hit TP, but you've obviously have come into this, zone here, so you would have taken a bit of profit. It's the same thing here, rejected down, same thing here, held. What does it do? Breaks, through. You could even have an awful entry here, but as you can see here, again, price breaks, to the upside, nice and easy. All right. So these are obviously all things to kind of look out for here. Breaks, through. Well, where do we go? One obviously to target this, zone here. So it might be that you have another one here, right? I'm just purely, showing here how it's working, what we're kind of looking at here. And obviously, if you're going with trend, look at this one, breaks through here. Right, potentially, same trade, stops above that candle, nice and easy. 1 to 2 would be something like this. Yeah. All right. So that is, kind of trading 10, 101 here. So what are we going to be looking for here? All right. We're either going to be looking for this price here holding, right? And then let me mark all of this out here, and I'll get rid of this one here. So we'll get rid of this one here. Oh, get rid of this one here, and then we'll have this one here. All right. So these are our kind of two possibilities here. All right. We either are going to break, and then continue. All right. Or this is going to hold. It's going to break, and then we're going to continue into this, zone here. Now I know this looks like very, very basic trading here, all right? But actually, if you've marked your, your zones up, you're then ignoring everything else, all right? You're just concentrating on what has happened here. You don't even have to monitor this. If you right click on this, you can put an alert on it. If you right click on this, you can put an alert on that one too, So all you're doing is, momentum should, if it clears this, should take you up to this level here. If it clears this, should take you back up to this level here, because all price is doing is going from liquidity to liquidity to liquidity to liquidity, like I've explained here. All right. So that's obviously quite a good way of, looking at it. Gold here as well. Let's have a brief breakdown here of gold, but gold's horrible. So if I was to like mark up a few levels here, so if we do some dailies, because we can't do monthlies on gold because it's still trading around those all-time high kind of areas. All right, so I'd be marking up that area. I'll be marking up this because there's a reason why we spiked down to that level. I'll be marking up this area here because price has obviously struggled. So let's leave it something like that, and then you could potentially have one in the middle here. All right, so if we then go to our 2 hour time frame, right, it's not quite as easy here. All right, so potentially, if we're marking out where our kind of areas are, you might want to have one, say, about here. All right, you might want to then have one a little bit up the top, so potentially targeting this area here, but it can be a bit smaller. You might then want to have one targeting this area here, give it a bit higher. And then we've got potentially probably this area here. And then last, but let's go for obviously where we actually are here, which is a bit messy. All right, so it is a little bit messy. I mean, I would say we're in quite a good area of support here, where we are right now. Just make sure we're in the right area. I'd say where we are right now is quite important. And then obviously last but not least would be this lower area. And then if this breaks, then we're not going to be too worried about it. But you can see here how marking up the, levels here really help. All right. So, we can then get rid of these. All right. Zoom out, 2 hour, so we're now kind of looking at price, we're in kind of D D-Day areas here. All right, because if this one breaks, or sorry, if this holds, yes, we're going to be looking up to targeting this area here. Yeah, right. However, if this breaks, then potentially might be looking for something like this because it's going to want to target this lower level. I'm actually probably more inclined to see this happen. I can't really see dollar pushing up a lot more from where it is. I don't think it should be there. But obviously, so potentially could see this, here, So if this level holds, we've obviously got to watch out for it. Then obviously we could see that. But you can see here, all we're doing here is trading between these levels here. Yeah. All right, and what does this do? All right, it's a very easy thing to do, and this can be used as a, strategy, is you're keeping it, simple and basic. All right, so all you're concentrating on what is price doing in these areas, right? What is it doing in these areas? That's all you're interested in, yeah? And then, you know what? I'll leave these up, so that we can obviously have a look to, see obviously what happens when market opens when we wake up in the morning. Right, let's go through a few of these questions. Tom, do you think gold continues to the down, possibly 4200? Did look like it was heading that way week before last when it suddenly shot up again. Now, the only thing that's driven it that way is the dollar. Is there enough to push dollar higher? A lot higher? I don't think so. So if we were to get back on here and potentially push this up to 100, 500, like that. Right, is there enough to push this higher? Only I feel only if we get this escalation. All right, if we get a de-escalation, there's not enough to push it up. And also, like I mentioned earlier, look at this move, right? This move here on dollar, yeah? Right, it's pretty big, right? And actually, yields is wasn't quite big. Right, it's pretty small in comparison. If you think we're back up to like 22nd of May, and if you look where we were on the 22nd of May, it was here. All right, so the dollar is way outweighing where it was on the 22nd of May by a lot. So, that's obviously one thing that we need to be a bit wary of. So yeah. Um, right, fair enough. I don't know what moves Bitcoin. It's just hype, all right? It's hype and expectation. It always has been, always will be. That's why I don't mind long term holding it at the right prices, but it wouldn't be something that I would day trade because it does as much as I believe in it, it's got no, substance. Uh, Right, Alex came in 50 minutes late. Maybe it was explained already. Where do you think dollar will trade this week? Will it push higher? Consolidation. I personally think we're going to get some consolidation. Between anywhere between kind of this area and this area here. I could be completely wrong, but I do feel a lot better about it. The only thing I don't like is where yields are, and I don't like where oil is. So we're just gonna have to, like we've been doing, just place it a bit, safer. Right, Ian, Dan, you mentioned next week that you will not be doing limit orders. Did I get that right? You also mentioned monitoring. I think you always do anyway. Could you clarify Monday approach? Yeah, so Monday I'm not going to do buy and sell, limits. We had a couple on GBP USD last week, which just blasted straight through. Yeah, so. I'm going to I am going to probably will wait, wait to see a bit of a reaction. It could make trading a little bit slower, but obviously I am happy, still. So yeah, but I will be, updated, updating what's, happening. Dollar recent price action at the level 100 is one to keep an eye on, almost like a dead zone. Could we see reacting? Could we see? Could we seeing react the same time? I don't know yet. Like I said, Sunday nights I don't trade. I'd like to stay out. I'd like to obviously wake up in the, morning. Alex is here saying German media just posted Iran launched missiles. That doesn't surprise me. I do feel it's a little bit one-sided, in regards to the US want to know this and they want to know that, but it is kind of what are they going to give? So coming to peace means you've both got to give up, something important, and I think Trump is so stubborn that he obviously, yeah, he's not really giving anything up, which is horrible. Craig, do you think dollar and yields will come back into line as they are not aligned at the moment? We had a realignment a few weeks ago, but they seem decoupled at the moment. Yes, like when dollar and yields are working in tandem, it makes trading easy. It genuinely uh, does. But I just right now, yes, we obviously had a lot of flow into the dollar, especially big money into the yields, but there wasn't much flowing anywhere else. So that's what, made it tricky. Alex, probably we're selling the dollar this week when it will not escalate more. So you're the person as well who's put in German media just posted Iran launch missiles. Well, if that is true, and obviously if it's bad, then yes, that should send dollar higher, yields higher, oil higher, gold should be trading, lower. So that's what should happen. But there's so much rubbish media coming out, and I think we've got instant access to too much at the, moment, and it's spawning it. So yeah, but one thing that I am going to say about this week, same as last week, trade a bit, safer, lower expectations. You know, if you if you are, if you normally target, 1% a target 0.5%, if you whatever. I just, cannot stress enough. Right now, it's really hard, and I just want everyone to understand that it is hard. Oh, I can't stop yawning. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so that is what I'm looking at. Right, I'm probably going to end it here. I appreciate everybody's time. Hopefully you've had a little bit of an insight, on a few other things to be looking at this week, and yeah, like I'd said, just take one trading day at a time. We obviously don't want to. Um, we don't want to get ourselves in a position where we're obviously in any trouble, because right now is not that time to increase your account and triple it and quadruple it. it's a tough time. So yeah, but no, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Try and stay away from the charts. I know obviously lots of you like trading, Sunday evenings, but obviously I like to trade it on Monday morning. But yeah, have a great evening, and I will catch up with you guys in the morning, nice and early. So have a good one, guys.